In recent news, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt made a bold statement about federal funding, declaring that $9 billion worth of crap is being rescinded. This caught a lot of attention.
$9 billion worth of crap that was in our federal funding that is now being rescinded. This is a good thing for the American people.
One program in the $9 billion worth of crap that she's talking about is a program that saved millions of kids, and I know because I was one of them. Congress just voted to defund UNICEF. It's the United Nations Children's Fund, which is a historic global aid group that was founded after World War II, dedicated solely to helping vulnerable children. I was born in Bosnia, in what is now Bosnia, former Yugoslavia, and I lived there with my parents. I was an only child, and the war broke out when I turned 4 and was raging for about 4 or 5 years after that. Growing up there was a horrific experience, especially as a child when you don't really know what's going on. You hear the bombs, the artillery shells, the machine gun fire that are terrifying. And, I remember seeing the faces of my parents trying to figure out what the hell they were going to do with this little kid in a war zone. You can't escape that kind of situation. And oftentimes they would bring home with them food provided by UNICEF. And I at the time I had no idea what UNICEF was. I just remember seeing its blue logo of a mother and child stamped on these sacks of flour that they would bring into our bomb shelter every day. And every time I saw that, I knew that it was a good thing. We could eat finally. I think that UNICEF has done a lot of good around the world, not just for me, but for millions of other kids.
I think every American agrees the government spends way too much money on things that don't matter.
And covering this in Congress right now is kind of absurd to me because, I'm not getting any good answers as to why these cuts are being done other than some kind of contrived talking points about so-called transgender operas and sex workers in Haiti, things that have nothing to do with the mission of UNICEF.
Fraud, waste, and abuse. We've been targeting that every area. This was directed to wasteful spending in the previous State Department.
And UNICEF has warned, even before this House vote cutting this funding, that it would directly lead to suffering and death. If it continues, this is only the first year of the Trump administration. If they continue withholding this kind of funding, I think it's going to be deadly. We've already seen the negative effects of winding down USAID funding. This is just kind of a double body blow for vulnerable people worldwide.
Those issues resonate with many people, showing how this shift could really target areas that affect our daily lives. However, the response has been mixed. While some folks appreciate the move, others worry about losing money for essential services. It's vital to explore all sides of this decision and understand its broader impact. So while Leavitt views this funding rescindment as a win for taxpayers, what does it mean for us in the big picture? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop your comments below.